Welcome back to Rare Finds and Raw Reviews. It has been a minute. Missed you guys. I love your comments. I love your support. So let's get right into it. So just remember that if you guys are just starting to follow me or just listening to my recordings, I am currently reading from More Joy for the Journey. It is a 90-day devotional. And also, I'm only taking portions of my favorite, my favorite stories from here, favorite scriptures, and I'm just summing it up because I do my recordings through Instagram, Facebook, and now YouTube, and I don't quite elaborate on it, so this is why I'm doing my podcast to elaborate just a little bit on these particular ones that are my favorite. And so you guys can also give your feedback and or just enjoy my take and my thoughts on these particular ones. So today's is choosing a joyful attitude. Also promises about choosing a joyful attitude. So this part right here is the scripture, and this is the one that I like the most. And that is, whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good report, if there is any virtue, and if there's anything praiseworthy, meditate on these things. Philippians 4:8. Okay, now we're going to go into the reading, and this is by Jill Bresco. I remember years ago when we lived in England putting my children to bed one night. My husband was in Australia, literally on the other side of the world. He wasn't coming home for 3 long, hard months. My father had been diagnosed with cancer. My daughter had fallen and broken her arm the day my husband left, and my hands were more than full. Running a preschool during the day and programs for dozens of needy teenagers in the evening. During this time, it didn't help to catch mumps from my kids either. Yet I sat by the crackling fire in our tiny home. A huge sense of well-being invaded every corner of my life. My heart was singing and my soul was dancing. I have learned to accept what God allows and to change what He empowers me to change. And that's usually my own attitude. So let's go to scripture. Whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure. Now, it's good to meditate on those things because when they say whatever things are true, so you have to remember, only meditate on the things that you know is a fact that comes from God. Noble and pure, those things are just like the absolute facts of how God is, how you view Him, noble and pure. So, like when we meditate on those things, just remember those are things of God. And whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good report. So in other words, positivity. We got to focus on the positivity of life. It's so easy to soak in the negativity that you forget the positivity, in life. Let's see. If there is any virtue and if there's anything praiseworthy, meditate on these things. So praiseworthy means like, even if it's something small, praise it, be happy, be joyful about it, because it's those little things that carry you over to the next day, and then it just grows and grows and grows from there. Now let's go into, remember this is Philippians 4:8. That was the whole scripture. Now let's go into her reading. Let's see here. Just the fact that we go through things in life, and they get stacked on with problems. It's really not in our control why things happen. We do get upset about why things happen, and we tend to forget that some things are our choices and then some things are not of our choice, and only God knows the reason why. Now, sometimes we forget that things happen for a reason. Maybe God is interfering to make sure that something bad doesn't happen to us more than what we feel that is bad that is currently happening to us. He's preventing something worse. We may not understand what we're going through or why we are going through the things that we're going through, but it happens for a reason. I'm so sorry. Something stuck in my throat. But nevertheless, I can definitely say that I've been there, done that. I honestly, let's just talk about my recent change, okay? This is the part where we get to know what it's like because we're not the only ones going through these things. You know what I mean? Sometimes we single ourselves out and say, oh my gosh, me, why? But it's really not. There are other people that have gone through the things that we've gone through, maybe worse, maybe less, but we all have an understanding because we go through things because why? We're human. So let's just say, for instance, right now I have a current change, right? But before I had that current change, I had options on the table for me to do certain things in my life, that are obviously life-changing. And I wasn't for certain because the first thing that happened to me, I was super excited. I was like, oh, this is 100% God. I'm going to go ahead and go with this. I was super excited. And then I got another opportunity and I was like, whoa, is this God too? You know what I mean? And then I got another opportunity and I was like, oh my gosh, I was overwhelmed, and I was just thinking, okay, God, I need you to talk to me. I need you to guide me back to where I need to be with you, because you can get easily overwhelmed even with good news. You know what I mean? Even with good things, you can get overwhelmed because you're just like indecisive and you don't know which route to go. So I sat for a moment and I quiet my mind, I quiet my emotions, and I sat and I talked to God and I prayed. And I was like, God, please talk to me, because I was clouding my judgment and everything that God had originally guided me to because I had, a few other opportunities. So I just sat there and I listened and I was re-guided in the direction that I needed to be because a lot of bad was starting to happen, even though the good was happening, and I was just in the stage and the emotion of being overwhelmed that I couldn't see it, if that makes any sense. So that moment of clarity, God spoke to me and guided me in the direction that I needed to go. And let me just tell you, things are so much better in God's hands than they are in yours. So for that moment of clarity that He gave me, not because I had it, but because He gave it to me, I was able to get on the right path. So everything after that, making the right decision, it was like, woof. It was just like the path I could see very clearly. And it was quite beautiful. And it was a path that He laid down for me. And I was just so excited again, the energy of that moment when I first got the good news for one opportunity, I just got like, how like they say, never forget the reason why you started, So I got that moment of clarity from Him. Just say, he was just reminding me, hey, just don't forget, we have this moment, and I was able to get back into that great feeling and that emotion, that everything just started lining up exactly the way He wanted to be, and I was with it. You know what I mean? I was totally happy. So even though we go through things, there's always reasons behind it. We will never understand until God gives us a clarity for it. So the best thing that I can say is that even when you're not feeling right and you don't feel yourself and it's not going your way, you need to choose a joyful attitude, because that is the best attitude, and that attitude will take you a lot further than a negative attitude. Sometimes you got to start with day one. Every day that you wake up is an opportunity for you to try again. Just because you had a bad day the day before and even maybe a whole week of it doesn't mean you need to drag it on every single day with you and dwell on it, because you shouldn't be dwelling on your past. If God is not dwelling on your past, neither should you. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me back on Rare Finds and Raw Reviews. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast and today's talk about having a joyful attitude. Step 1 is to always think about one thing positive going on in your life, even if it's the smallest thing, and watch it bloom. You guys have a wonderful day. Until next time.